13 years ago, on a short bus in a small town in Washington, two idiots met. A bunch of stupid stuff happened. We want you to listen to those stupid stories. So, it's like, especially for the three of us who have grown up in very, very religious homes. I was raised, Christian. Like, this is the point of the evening where if you guys are not religious or don't want to hear about it, I'd probably turn off the podcast and move on. If you just want to hear three people talk about what their experience is.
You can hear us talk about Jesus, and that's cool too.
Yeah. And it was like, I was raised religious from birth until I left home. Brock was raised religious till he left home. You were raised religious till you left home. It's like all three of us were either private Christian schooled or we were raised up to where church on Sunday was expected. It was mandatory. It was perfectly normal. And it was just a part of who you were. It's just, that's who it was. And I want to say that I'm exceptionally proud to be your friend, Abby, in the sense that in all my years of being raised religious, and I'm saying religious in the sense of you can be brought up in any faith whatsoever. Whether you walk that faith is entirely different. You are one of the very few, like maybe one or two people I know of in my entire life that have actually been about their faith. It's like they've actually been 100% invested in their relationship with their Savior. And it was very refreshing to see, because Brock could attest to this. In high school, I got exceptionally jaded with religion because of everything that was going on about that high school and like where we'd been. Like, there are people that are very devout. Some of the teachers were some of the most wholesome, kind and tender people, but then you'd also get teachers in there and you'd be like,
Madeleine,
there's something about you that just, it makes me uncomfortable as a male, and you are a male.
We're all thinking the same teacher, right?
Yeah, I think so.
We probably are. I'm not trying to name drop because I'm not one.
No, I get it. I'm just like, I think we
are.
And then it was like, then there were kids who, like, we had Spirit Week at our school where you were supposed to just go to chapel Monday through Friday. Just fall in love with the Lord. And people be like, this week changed my life. I'm forever a better person. And then by Saturday is drunk, having a bender, doing God knows what with who knows what. Like nothing had happened. It was like, some people had real religious experiences there. It was like you mentioned, Nikita and like Missy. I think that was both of them. Senior year, the same time got touched. And you can attest, they were different people through and through at the end of it. And that's amazing to see. But there were some people that would go through it, say they were changed, and nothing changed. It was just everyone went up with the crowd to go be at the front of the chapel. Just because you didn't want to be the person standing in the back, sitting alone, being unmoved by the Lord. It's like, if you've been raised religious, you know, when you're called, you're called. There's not a specific set time, parameters, or anything. When he calls, he calls. Like, you could have the most random moments. You could literally just be in the shower minding your business and then just, that's it. You have a moment.
And
I was like, what did religion mean for you growing up? Because for me, religion is now is a very, very dirty word. Faith is very wholesome.
Right.
Religion for me is dirty.
Yeah. No, I agree with that 100%. And I didn't really have the faith I have now until after I graduated, believe it or not. Because I growing up in Christian school, I was especially in high school, I was a very angry kid, if you remember, Brent.
You punched me several times, mostly in the nuts. I know.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
I deserved it on the occasions I got hit, just so everyone knows I was a jerk and I was a typical high school.
Yeah, I wasn't just swinging on people. But just because I definitely had anger towards God, which is, I hate to say, but back then I definitely did, just because, home life wasn't the best, severely bullied at a Christian school. So I was like, oh, well, then if this is what, if their religion justifies how they're treating me, then I want nothing to do with it. So that was huge. But then it wasn't until after I graduated, and Brent can attest to this, after I graduated first couple of years, I was not the best person.
You went down a very, very dark road, but it was essential in, I want to say, your character development.
Yeah.
You were like that character in that TV show that deserved better, but went down the wrong path for a few years to fully assess where they're at. And it's like, people can attest that we mentioned our math teacher in the other segment, Matt Kitna. His brother is, in fact, the quarterback, John Kitna.
Yeah.
John Kitna came to our school to speak. Me, Brock. Oh no, Brock wasn't in high school. That was me, David, and Nolan. And we were all just being absolute dipshits. We were being as loud as possible. We're causing as many issues as possible. We were just goofing off in a time where you're supposed to be praising the Lord and then being about your faith. And Kitna went up there and in front of the entire auditorium ripped everyone top to bottom to shreds, said everyone's faith was weak, we were fake, we were doing all these things that were just super hypocritical, and he kept making eye contact with me throughout the entire time. And I was like, I've never felt so directly called out by God in my entire life. I know it was literally John Kitna, so I'm not portraying him as God, but it felt like God was speaking through him directly to me, like, you are being fake, you are being phony, you are being everything you don't want to be. You want to be this person that people can be just 100% real with all the time, and there's not a layer of fakeness around you. But right now, with the people you're surrounding yourself with, you're being phony. You're pretending to be something you're not, so people will accept you, and that's crap. And he called out the entirety of the school, and I have, to this day, I have so much respect for him. He's like, he had a speech plan, he was ready, he had points, he had cards. He spent 40 minutes ripping us all the biggest hole he possibly could. And there was an uncomfortable silence amongst the teachers, amongst the pastors there, and amongst the students for the rest of the day, of just everyone being like, was he calling us out?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, was he speaking to me?
Was it me?
Yeah.
So,
and then, I kind of had a moment similar. It was, because it wasn't. Do you remember when I used to go to Thrive?
Oh, I remember Thrive. That was an interesting group of people that went to Thrive.
Yeah, it was all the misfits. That's why I fit in. But no, and that's actually when I actually became a Christian and gave my life to Christ, was at Thrive. And I was super like religious at first, but then like as I grew in my faith and all that, I definitely, I don't want to say toned it down because that's not the right phrase, but it was.
You were less preachy about it.
Yeah, that's what I meant. And obviously, and I think we all do to some extent, but obviously, I've struggled here and there, and like I said, I think we all do. But yeah, I'm definitely thankful for Thrive, and I owe it to Tony Lopez. We'll probably have him on a future episode.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. Go Tony.
Yeah.
It's like you never know when you're going to be called is the interesting thing in your life. It's like, when I got called, it was like the most in your face kind of moment.
Totally.
I just finished, like, what I was doing was exceptionally vulgar. It was not at all a moment where God should have been in the equation. And then finished what I was doing, and mind you, it wasn't anything illegal. It was just something I don't ever want to share to the light of day. It was just something I was genuinely ashamed of being a part of.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, it's just fell on my hands, fell on my knees, and just wept. I was like, what the hell is this? What is going on? Why do I feel this way? Why my soul is like something resonating with me to like my very core of like showing me that I'm still loved, even though I'm doing something that's so profane. It's like, who could love me through this? And that's something that you've talked about at length, Abby, because you've shared at least on social media several times over, and then just in actual conversations we've had. You've been like, there are times where you just feel so unlovable in your faith, because like, God is here, humanity is somewhere off screen,
right?
And he still loves us all the same.
That's my favorite thing about God. And that has been my favorite thing about Christ is like the last 5 years specifically. When I've really just like moved away from home and I've made some of my like big mistakes, like all this stuff.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about Christ is I'm not giving myself like license to make mistakes, or I'm not excusing my BS.
Yeah.
But the thing that I love the most about Christ is just that very thing. In my most unlovable and in my murkiest, dirtiest, and darkest, that doesn't scare him. He still wants to be a part of it.
Right.
That is my, like, for years and years and years and years and years, since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
Humanity has always put religion where their God is here and humanity is way below him and like all this stuff.
Yeah.
And we'll say it till we die, and we got it pumped into us as kids and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But the difference between Christ and every other religion is Christ didn't stay up here and decide this is what he was going to do. He decided to become a part of the shit.
Yeah.
Like, that is my favorite thing about redemption, is that it's not, what can I do to make God happy? What can I do to make God pleased? What can I do to da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da?
Yeah.
Not the point of salvation. The point of salvation is for God to look at you and go, this is where you are. Let me be a part of this. Let me save you from what you could become, or where this will take you, or all this stuff. And my mom always said, God is a gentleman. He will not force you. He is not rude. He is not like all this stuff. He will offer to be a part of your life, and he wants to be a part of your life. You don't have to accept that. But if you do, things will completely change, you know?
Yeah.
And that, like, especially growing into my own person, especially as an adult, that is my favorite thing about is like, and I've had so many friends that are like, I've done too much. I've done too much. God could never love me. He could never save me. I was like, that's the whole point of redemption.
Yeah. I can relate to that. Yeah.
It's like he didn't die on the cross for some sins.
Right.
All.
Yeah, exactly.
Every single bad, murky, gross thing you could ever be, do, think, say, anything. That's what he went to the cross for. That's what he took the punishment for. Yeah. And it's like, there's no distinction. Like, anything is forgivable. Like, my brother and I actually, we just wrote this song, and I'm planning on releasing it.
Nice.
But it's literally, it is like a love song. I don't have a title for it. All I've called it so far is a love letter to the orphans of the church, to all the people that are broken and that have been told that you're unlovable and unforgivable and all this stuff. Like, the chorus is, I wish somebody had told you how loved you are. Like, I wish somebody had seen you past every scar you've had. I wish somebody had told you about a savior who's not scared of any of your stuff. Like, that is, like, religion is almost like a taboo word in my house. Like, religion is so divisive and so harsh and so painful at times that I just tell people, I'm sorry, I love Jesus. Like, Jesus, I follow Jesus. I am a Jesus believer. I believe he died for my sins, rose from the dead. He's the Son of God. That is what I believe. I don't even call myself a Christian anymore, which is probably not great.
Yeah.
Just in conversations with people, I'm like, I need you to know that, like, the abusive and the harsh and the like the ugly side of religion has hurt you. That's not Jesus.
Right. Like, yeah, exactly. And that's why I feel like I definitely do not like the modern day church. I honestly think the modern day church, they're no better than the Pharisees back in Jesus's day, because a lot of them, like you said, they're divisive, judgmental, and a lot of churches nowadays, I fully believe they wouldn't even let Jesus in their own church.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
because if you saw Christ and he wanted to be a part of this, you probably wouldn't let him in for a amount of reasons. But and I am so grateful to be a part of a church right now that I feel so loved by and so, like, cared for. I mean, I was seriously abused by a church for a couple years. I said, I love Jesus, but I don't ever need to walk back in a church. I don't ever need fellowship again.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
And then I found these guys, and oh my gosh, I love them so much. Like they are literally my family now. Like the family of God. We are literally, they are my family now. And I just like, I've never seen a more like welcoming and understanding and beautiful picture of like biblical scripture, but also like the love of Christ and like the output of that. And like, it's so, it's my favorite thing when it's like healthy and when it's real and when it's it's
good. Oh, absolutely. That's why like I know I said I don't go to church, but I'll do like a Bible study with like a close group of believers and stuff like that. So that helps me stay on track. And what I like, because even the Bible says that when it describes the church, it's not talking about a building. It's in the red letters. Like it's just 2-3 believers gathered in fellowship to grow in the word. So like that for me, I'm much more comfortable doing those Bible studies. And not only because it's less judgy, but it's easier to have that back and forth dialogue and actually study. And and because you don't really get that in the church pews, because you're just basically being dictated to, it almost feels like. And you can't really have an open discussion. And if you try, that's kind of when the judgment comes in, is when you try to have that open dialogue, which I don't find in like the smaller Bible studies and stuff like that.
Because I was gonna say, and I'm very comfortable with name dropping this particular individual, because he challenged my faith more than I think any grown man had ever challenged my faith. And it was like senior year of Bible class. Mr. Madlita. He was 1,000% walking the talk, and he was,
absolutely,
there was no shenanigans with him. He was straightforward with everything that he was about. And he and I would sometimes, I would just try and find him, like when I was on my lunch and he was on his lunch. I would just try and talk to this man and like try and just have an open dialogue of things. Why is this like this? Why is this like that? Why in the world would this happen? Why would God allow this? And he would just have a straight dialogue, and he would always cite scripture and be like, he would open up the Bible, show you the verse, and he would 100% be like, this is the context of it. This is what this is, and this is what I think it means. What do you think it means? And it was a dialogue. There was no just, this is what it means. You're supposed to believe my word at it. I said 1 Thessalonians 2:1, and you're just supposed to be like, oh yeah, I know, but you're just too terrified to admit, I don't know what that is in my head. But like, he would have an open dialogue with me, and it got to the point where I would try and go back and forth with him and try and be like, I finally just had enough. I confronted him. I was like, church is a fallacy, is it not? And he, being the pastor he was, like, church is not a fallacy. It's a place for believers to meet in fellowship. What the church has gradually become in some areas is exactly what the Lord was trying to stop. He's like, there are some churches out there that are just all about the dollar bills. They don't care about your faith. They just want to make sure you go to the fellowships. You go to like the little summer retreats. You put all your money into this. You're going to help all that. Meanwhile, it's going into somebody else's pocket. And he was like, literally all you need is a relationship between you and the Lord. And you need someone to hold you accountable on the side. You need a friend who's also trying to walk the talk. Like when believers meet together for truly good intentions, they truly want to better themselves and their relationship with the Lord. That's where the Lord speaks the loudest. He's like, you don't need a church. And he's like, there are things here I don't agree with. He's like, but at the same time, all I can do is try and be the best version of myself I believe the Lord wants me to be. And to see someone who is 100,000% about that talk, and someone I hold in highest of regards, like when my life hit the lowest point after my senior year of high school in my life, I had that oh shit moment. I literally emailed this man as a graduate of this school and was like trying to get a hold of him and be like, okay, this is what happened. This is what's going on.
Help.
What do you think the Lord says in this instance? And he wrote back to me. It was some of the kindest most honest words I've heard, and it's exactly what I needed to hear at that time. And I can't thank him enough for how truly kind, passionate, and understanding he is, and all the time and effort he put into not only knowing the word, but being able to have it be relatable, because you made Bible class fun. And there were a lot of Bible teachers at that school. And I have to say, like, for the first couple of years, I did not relate. I didn't care. It was just follow this assignment, color in Adam and Eve, fill in who is Moses. And his Bible class was like in the face of, all right, you're going to do some research. You're going to talk about this. There's a real issue that's going on in the world. How does faith relate to this? And I want you to cite your verses. And you're just
He made you think.
Like, exactly.
Say, okay, here's scripture. Here's Jesus, and now you're going to love him and worship him and follow him. Okay, good. He was like, he's like, this is what he did. This is who he is. What does that mean to you? And you can tell me what it means to you, and we can have a discussion about it. But he made you think. He made you consider why, what, and how you believed what you believed. And it wasn't just blind faith. You know, and one of the things I loved the most is when, oh my gosh, when we would have students in class that would be like, oh, well, blah, 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 this and this and this and this and this and this, blah, 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 and just would go off on how God is this and God is that and blah, blah, blah. Madalena was like, fine, like, you're entitled to your opinion, but here is how I can lay out, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was used to being that little bit of coddled by religion and like faith. They're like, we're gonna coddle you because we care about your dollars and cents. Madalena was just
he was like,
you're totally allowed to believe what you think.
Right.
Yeah.
But here's where you're having some issues in your thought process.
Here's the disconnect. And it wasn't ever condescending. He was never condescending.
Right.
Okay, great. That's what you think. So here's the disconnect. And here's something I challenge you to consider. Yeah. You know, it was never like, it was never force fed. It was never like, this is what you have to believe because you go here. It was like, here's where you're tripping up. Here's what, you know, this, and this say, take it for what it's worth and then make your own decision. He treated us like adults. He was one of the only people at school that treated us like friggin' adults.
It's like, you want to be ready for the world? I'm going to treat you like an adult and you're going to like it. And all of us were just,
here you go.
What is this? Yeah. His apologetics class alone was worth every penny for that school. Like, I learned so much through that.
Y'all, I have the nerdiest, dumbest thing about apologetics in the whole world. So the textbook we had to use for his apologetics class was Christian Apologetics by Norman Geisler.
Yeah.
When I was at school, Norman Geisler gave a lecture at college, and I got to meet Norman Geisler.
That's cool.
Just like, sign the book. Sign the book.
I literally was like, sir, you have no idea how much I am in love with this right now. Like, for me, 90 years old, he's like, cool. All right.
He's like, this is a different reaction than I'm used to.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm your biggest fan.
That's really cool.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Because it was like, that apologetics book was one of the few books I actually took really good care of, because I carried everything in my backpack. Every book from every class in my backpack. Some of them would get beat up, especially the math book, because I was like, whatever. But like that apologetics book, I was like, nothing touches this. I'm putting it in the right spot. I'm making sure that nothing can beat this up and give it its proper care and all that. So I was like, that class had a huge impact on myself for sure. And I know if you went to that high school, you went through that class, and a lot of people can attest that it was probably some of the most open dialogue I think most of us have had involving any type of faith. And it's like, and it wasn't one of those things where it's like they only talked about our faith. We talked about other religions and their faith, why they believe what they believe.
Yeah.
And it was just an open dialogue about it. It wasn't just, all right, Christianity is the only thing out there. It was like, no, there's this, and then Christianity has all these subsects.
Yeah, especially for being a Christian school. Like, he was like, yeah, like, I'm going to teach you a scripture. I'm going to teach you biblical teachings. I'm going to teach you truth. But, like, there's also other stuff out there. And we're going to talk about that too. Like, he was not afraid of your opinion. He wasn't. Yeah. Because he was so strong in his faith that he knew that he could have those discussions with you, and what you took from it, you took from it. But like, he was not going to like, he's not going to be like, yeah, I see. Maybe you've got a good point. Maybe I'm like totally off base on all this. Maybe I should consider, the last 40 years of my life,
Yeah.
Well, I loved that man. I loved Merlin. He was my
favorite. He was a great teacher. He helped me a lot senior year. And then another thing I always respected about him is you always knew he wasn't BSing you, because if he didn't have the answer right then and there, he would do the research and
bring it up at a later date that you completely forgot you asked it about, and he'd be like, "Hey, I found the answer to this." And you're like,
Or he'd go, you know what? Come see me at lunch. We'll go over that at lunch. And like our lunch period talking to him about it.
He walked the talk, and he was the other person of like him and you are the only two where I was like, these people are walking the talk. There's no layers to this to peel off of, oh, this is fake, this is phony. It's just anytime you and him would both level with me the same way, and both of you were completely unafraid to be like, all right, you're being kind of a moron right now.
Yeah.
Get it together. He never called me that, but sometimes it felt in his answer was like, you shouldn't even be over here.
Well, and I don't want to speak for Madlena, because obviously I don't know all the stuff he's been through, but I'm sure he would say the same thing. Is the only reason we walked any talk was because I would be literally dead without Christ. I mean that as literal as possible, because I would have I walked a really, really, really friggin' dark time in my life where I was going to kill myself. And like, I know that's a sensitive topic, so I'll breeze over it, but I was going to end my life. And the only reason I didn't is because of who Christ was in my life and who he proved to himself to be every single time. And I'm sure Lena has similar stories where like, all I can say who I am is based on who Christ sees me as and identifies me.
Yeah.
And then we've shared on other episodes. We had a whole episode about our mental health and what we went through. And Brock has also been at that point where unaliving yourself seemed like an option. I've had friends who had, and I've struggled with my own time on this earth of like, is this worth it? Is this right? Do I want to be here anymore? Kind of thing. So it's like, it's a tough subject to talk about, but with, everything going on with, what we are discussing, it needs to be as open and as bare as possible. So we genuinely appreciate you for sharing something, especially of such a sensitive nature, because there are people out there who are there for you, they listen for you, they care about you. You are never alone, even if you're not faith-based at all. There's always someone or something out there looking to help you. There's always someone that cares. So don't. So when you feel alone, just know you're not. Like me and Brock's story intersected quite a bit during your moment of just what that was. And it was. I didn't even know about that story though till. You remember, Abby, when our senior year, you got all those letters from your friends and family of just like, I didn't even know like how much they loved you and all that stuff. He opened up in his that he had a moment very early on in our friendship, like ridiculously early on, that
like within the first year,
that he just felt like it wasn't worth it anymore. And then out of the blue, he got a text message from me saying, hey man, I love you, appreciate you, care about you. I was like, and me and Brock's friendship, we hadn't really been at that point yet. We were just kind of like been comfortable enough for one grown man to share, like, hey man, I appreciate you, I love you. Like, because for guys, there's some kind of stigma about it. But I just sent a message to him, and I guess at that particular point in time, it had a significant enough impact that he felt comfortable sharing about it. I was like, it's like, I don't know to this day what compelled me to do it, but your faith-based talk, you know.
Like I'm not gonna know exactly what that
was. But and we talked about that last episode, because I was gonna check out that day. That's the sad part. But so still very grateful for you doing that, Brent.
It was not me, and we all know like who the man behind the curtain is pulling all the stuff. I'll take no credit for any of that. I'm just very, very happy and blessed that you are still on this earth, kicking up dust wherever you go and making a hell of a time of it for those around you, and people appreciate and love you, man. Like, I know I should be like saying stuff like this as living with humor host. I'm supposed to give however, like I could be sensitive a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit and then make fart jokes later.
Exactly.
We don't make those nearly as often.
Okay.
Which is surprising.
Which is very surprising. But it's like we've grown a little bit.
A little bit.
No, see, my favorite. That's another thing I really just like have been falling in love with the Lord all over again. Is like as somebody that doesn't love being sensitive and love being vulnerable and love being that, like that has been something that I've struggled with for so long. And the Lord is gently like pulling away different things about like, hey, like you being sensitive is something that is part of my character. Like being
oh, that's interesting.
To the spirit and like being sensitive to like conviction, like all this stuff, like part of your like sensitivity and vulnerability is what allows us to have any communion or any communication at all. And I'm just like, gosh, yeah, you're kind of right. Like
yeah.
Like you may be onto something, you know, you omnipotent God, and it's like, oh yeah. We've all been there like, oh, you don't know, and it's like, well, I truly believe he's omnipotent, so it's like, oops.
That's my is like, oh God, you can't possibly understand what I'm going through right now. He's like, okay, you're right. And then on the other side of it, you're like, okay, yeah. Maybe you didn't know what you were talking about.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
We've all had tons of those conversations about that, and that's truly a reflective process. That if you're part of any faith or of any background of faith, you know that there's plenty of trying times, but God never gives you more than you can handle, and He's always there to try and lift you back up when you fall on your keister. And I've fallen plenty of times. I got a couple bruises to show for it, but He never loved me any less for it. So that's something that can have an impact on those of you who truly walk that talk. Is like, you know, it's not easy. The world wants you to be a certain way, dress a certain way, act a certain way that are immodest, immoral, and gives into earthly pleasures.
Yeah.
But the Lord called you for better things, and to never do anything of that nature with someone who you truly believe is not your soulmate and the one person the Lord put on this earth for you, and try and keep things as, you know, as moral as humanly possible. Because my big issue also with church is that it's a man-made construct. Anything that man makes will therefore be imperfect.
Yeah.
Only something that God Himself truly put down should ever last and be truly blemishless. It's like, so that I've had my issues with religion, and that's why it's a dirty word. But you say the word faith, and there's nothing wrong with having faith. And faith is all we can hope for, and faith is certain of what we do not see, and that's what the ancients were commended for. Thank you, Hebrews, for coming up to the top of my head for one time in my life. It's like, I could never pass a Bible test, but hey, 28 years old, it's there. It's just the deep oppression of the mind.
Well, it's like the scripture, you know, the word of God does not go out void. I mean, it's in there.
Right.
So that's wow, I didn't even realize I was in there. Oh well.
But, that's
awesome. Maybe I did win Bible Scholar Year for something.
Yeah,
I don't know what it was.
Right.
I was so shocked that day. No one tells you. No one told you won. It's like they called up the first person. I don't even remember who the other person was. Like, all right, cool. Yeah, they absolutely deserved it. Fantastic. And then they called me up and like, you guys playing a prank on me?
I remember who the other person was.
Who was the other person?
It was Kelsey.
Kelsey didn't win.
I thought it was. No. I thought it was the two of you.
I'm sorry.
She did not win. No.
Oh, okay. I thought. Okay.
I believe it was Jeremiah. I think it was Jeremiah Gilgee.
That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
He walked the talk, from what I understood, but like I never hung in the same circle with him, so I never heard a bad thing about him. But also, there's never any moment in my time where I was like, oh, I wish ill will for this person. I was like, Jeremiah was just a cool dude. Like, hope you listen to this some point and hear that. It's like,
Jeremiah, you're a cool dude.
Yeah. Put that out in the universe. Let that be what it is. But before we get too sidetracked with everything else going on, as far as the podcast goes, is there any kind of questions or just about life or in general, just you have for us, Abby, in our reverse interview process for living with humor. We've asked you tons of questions.
Yeah.
Now it's time for us to lay our souls bare.
I don't know. Because you told me this like when you guys were booking me, and I was just like, I can't think of any like really good, solid, like questions to ask. Let's see. I'm trying to think over our whole conversation and see if there's anything that like really triggers anything really fun. Can I ask like multiple questions, or am I only allowed to ask one?
No, as many as you want. As many as you want.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna ask one that's faith-based and one that's like nerdy-based. So my first faith-based is, what is like one thing that God has revealed to you in the last like couple years, just like about himself?
Brock, do you have something off the top of your head?
The thing that comes to mind is, and it actually goes even farther back to when I originally gave my life over to him, is even when you're at your lowest, or like it doesn't matter what situation, he's there. He's right beside you. And that's something, and that actually feeds into my testimony, because I remember when I was like on the cusp of becoming a Christian, or whatever you want to call it, or on the cusp of having faith, that's when I realized that I really was angry at him for like just past situations and the cards I've been dealt and stuff like that. And to this day, I'll never forget this. I heard, like, you know, like you hear a song in your head, like that's how I heard it. I heard "I Never Left You," and I was driving. I had to pull over. I was like
hysterical. I would be sobbing.
I was.
I love that.
Like, yeah. And so that's when I was like, all right, I got to make a change.
Yeah.
Because I would definitely either be dead or in prison if I didn't do that, because I was going down a very bad road. So
if it's the road I believe that you had been going on, that could not have been one, because like our friendship was even tested at a couple points in time where I was like, I don't know who you are. I don't know who you're becoming. This isn't the dude that I was like, this is my brother. This is someone I truly love and care for. It's like, may not be blood related, but like if anyone did anything to you, I'd be the first person up in arms and be like, okay, you really want to test him? Let's go. Let's do something about this. Like, that's not faith-based at all. That's just typical, just reactionary stuff. That's nothing that our faith would encourage. But it was definitely a tough time for you. Like for me, mine was that you're much stronger than you ever give yourself credit for. Because in high school, I felt alone. I felt weak. I felt like I didn't belong. Like there was no one, to a certain degree, for a long time I could just be myself with. And I was like, I struggled with being comfortable with who I was, and then trying to be cool, quote unquote, or accepted into everything else was going on. But then as high school progressed, I cared less and less about everyone's acceptance, because I saw the people that were accepted, and it was like, there were so many stories of they did this, they did this, they did this, they did this. Is that what I want to be known for doing? It's like, and I finally had that moment of retrospection of just, it's not about being the cool person. It's not about being that suave person or that guy who's like with all these beautiful women. You need to be who you're called to be. And I wanted to be someone that when people had moments of weakness or they didn't feel that strong, I could be there for them. It's like, hey, I felt what you felt, man. Or I know exactly what you're going through to some extent. It's like, I may not know all the specifics of it. It's like, I've been through this. I've been through that. I can understand where you're coming from with this. I haven't experienced it myself, but I know someone who has. Do you want me to like connect you guys? It's like, sometimes just being that person to be shoulder to cry on was something I struggled with. Brock can attest, like when people went through stuff when we first started becoming friends, when he started really, really opening up about the stuff he was struggling with, I was terrible. I had no idea how to relate or how to talk to him or just be who I'm supposed to be, and like someone who could be compassionate. I was there for you physically, but emotionally it was like, I was going through the steps, man. It was like that. That's not who you want to be. You wanted to be. I wanted to be someone more for you, and I wanted to be like, no matter what you're going through, your highest of high and your lowest of lows, you'd be like, Brent's still gonna be there regardless. It was like, it's like, love you all the same. Like sometimes you're knucklehead and you piss me off, but I love you all the same. It's like, so just anytime I was dealing with stuff, it was like I just wanted to be more of a person people trusted and could rely upon, and just be themselves with, because sometimes just being comfortable with someone can make a world of difference, and you can go and truly be who you want to be when you're with the right people. It's just, you never know when it's going to be the right person. So you just got to be the best you every day. Yeah. So you never know, like in some conversation, people, whether you would make that huge impact, like when I texted Brock, or sometimes it was just something super, super small, but like you felt comfortable around me in high school. It's like, just knowing that someone at that time when I felt like I was doing nothing right. Like, I just felt comfortable around you. Sometimes that's enough.
Which is funny because I bullied you at first.
That time I was specifically addressing. Abby as like her being comfortable.
I was like, "Yo, we got a trend going. You bullied him, he bullied me. Somehow
he had Brent Lundy kick me in the head. So his bullying was significantly more severe than anything I could have said about you.
Like I said, I was not a good person back in the day.
Oh my gosh!
I was already going through a tough time, and I was just listening to music on the bus, staring out the window as one does when you're contemplating all of existence on your way home. And the next thing you know, there is a giant foot upside my head.
Ouch.
And then somehow became friends with
Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls. Come on, that's me.
I believe I was listening to Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana, and then like, why was there a foot upside my head?
Oh, yeah, I was a jackass.
My perspective staring out the window song was Iris every time. I don't want the world to see me.
Yeah.
And then like TV nowadays is like less of that song. It's like, that's still a great song. Don't you dare just commercialize this to the point it's like less passionate than what it is.
I saw Train and the Goo Goo Dolls like 2 years ago, and they're amazing. Like
that's awesome.
I assume they put on like a really, really good show.
Yeah,
that would be a fun concert.
Sometimes you think that this would be a great concert, and then you see them live, and you're just, what was that?
You're like, oh, you guys are a better studio band. Thank you.
Just keep giving me my albums, please. I'll pay for that gladly.
Yeah.
So that is our faith-based questions.
Oh yes. Okay. And nerdy-based question. We talked about this a little bit on the break. I want to know your thoughts on Kenobi and where you think it's going, and if they're going to be in one season, because I have theories and ideas and thoughts.
Okay.
Season 2 is confirmed.
Yeah, season 2.
They had to rewrite the ending already.
Yeah.
Really? For season 1 or 2?
They had to rewrite the ending for season 1 so they could put in a season 2.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm not opposed to more Ewan McGregor in my life. I guess.
No.
So.
No, I'm loving the show personally, and one thing that I'm actually really impressed with is like, because I was a little skeptical when they said Vader was going to be in it.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, is this going to be kind of like how Book of Boba Fett ended up, like you said, just being season 3 of The Mandalorian?
Yeah,
I was worried that the Obi-Wan Kenobi show was going to turn into the Darth Vader show. But they're doing a really good job on having Vader in the show, but he's still just a side character.
Right.
And it's still very much centered around Kenobi, which I really like.
I think Ewan McGregor is doing an excellent transition.
He's doing amazing,
He's like doing a perfect Ewan and Alec Guinness like mixed. Like you can see how it's a believable transition.
Yeah, and it was definitely different than what I thought it was going to be, because I didn't expect Kenobi to be so broken.
Yeah,
because he's completely broken, and like spoiler alert, that one scene where Leia falls and is falling basically to her death. And he's like struggling to use the Force.
I know.
Because back in the Jedi days, like he was one of the top Jedi. Like he was always my favorite Jedi personally.
Oh yeah. 100%.
And so to see him struggle with the Force and be so broken, I was really not expecting that, but they did a really good job at it.
I think they're doing a really phenomenal job, because when you watch A New Hope and you first meet Ben, when you first meet Ben, he briefly talks about his time in the wars with Anakin. That's what all you know. And so you never get like anything else. You never get like PTSD or anything like that.
Right.
So seeing him 10 years after, number one, after the Clone Wars, which lasted like a good chunk of time, like that he was a general in, so ouch.
Right.
And then number two, losing your brother to not just like he didn't just die, but like he had to turn on literally everything he's ever talked about.
Stood for,
like you're seeing a traumatized Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
And it's not something I ever expected to see. So it was like,
me neither. Yeah.
Like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's like I kind of like predicted that when we were and another podcast I do, Geek Variants, I did a breakdown of literally every character you need to know about Obi-Wan before the series dropped. I broke down Obi-Wan's time on Tatooine specifically in the books because I felt like they were going to be on Tatooine basically explicitly, because that's what they seem to have been using Tatooine for all of the the TV show series stuff. And I was like, yeah, Obi-Wan was broken when he was there. He would literally go to Shmi Skywalker's grave almost nightly and weep and cry and mourn that he failed her son. I was like, your son had such potential. He was my brother. I loved him. I let him down. I failed him. I'm nobody. And he cut himself off from the Force, and then Qui-Gon Force spirited in, which, I mean, God, I would love Liam Neeson to come back in any capacity.
But for him to
be honest, talking to Obi-Wan and be like, you need to let go, was the turning point for him, at least in the comics. And it was like, Obi-Wan had fought with Black Chrysanthemum in the comics as well, at another point where Luke got kidnapped and things went terribly, terribly awry.
Right.
So it was like, I knew Obi-Wan was going to be broken. I knew he was going to be damaged, and he wasn't going to be this master of Ceresu and this Jedi Knight that we all were like, oh my gosh, this guy is so strong, so powerful, so wise, so poised. This is who he is at his core right now, and I believe we're basically done with Vader, unfortunately, going to the next 2 episodes of this. I'm trying to not be as spoiler heavy as possible.
No spoilers.
I believe in the end, there's this photo of someone with a black cape and a red lightsaber on Tatooine, directly across from Obi-Wan. I ultimately believe that is going to be Reva.
Yeah,
we don't see her in anything further, so I believe she's going to be the final battle for him, and I think ultimately he eludes Vader, because that's when they did A New Hope, they said, this is they haven't fought each other since Mustafar. So I was like, and based upon what happened in episode 3, for those of you that cut up, it really wasn't much of a battle. It was basically a dismantling, because one was this is Vader when he's strongest. Vader is still in his feelings, he's still in his emotions, and as you know, as someone who loves Star Wars, the more messed up you are internally, the more the power of the dark side will resonate with you. Right. Anakin's all kinds of broken. So Vader is just amplified to this umpteenth degree, and Obi-Wan is just this old, frail dude who's just like, I could barely survive on my day-to-day life as a butcher, and now I have to fight the Dark Lord of the Sith. Like, there's a huge juxtaposition with that, and I will say I want a little bit more from Reva. I know the actress getting bullied online. Star Wars community needs to stop doing that. They hate her because she is a black woman who is a main character in Star Wars. I'm like, that's stupid. We've had so many people of color.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
And she revealed the DMs of people coming at her. The N-word is exceptionally prominent, and it's shameful to... Star Wars is a very toxic community as a whole, probably second to League of Legends players, but it's not like we're not giving them a tough fight with this. But there are a lot of people that hate her, and there's a lot of people that hate the actress who's playing young Leia, and I think she's killing it. I think she's doing a fantastic job.
She's so cute.
Yeah.
It's like Carrie Fisher would be so proud. The level of sass.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
I will say at first Leia irritated me, but
because she's a little 10-year-old girl with
she's
got too much. You're like, all right, chill the F out. Like,
yeah, exactly. But she's definitely grown on me.
No, I think the show will ultimately culminate with Obi-Wan fighting Reva and either terminating her or making her so broken she can't go back to Vader, or Vader kills her. Because Vader in the comics, him and the Inquisitors have a really, really fragile relationship, because he's like, I'll kill each and every one of you. I can just replace you. I can torture you. I can do whatever I want to you. I'm stronger than you. You submit to me.
I want to see that Vader.
Yeah.
We've seen parts of it through 3. There's not the spoilers, but there's stuff that you will like once you get to episode 4.
Yeah,
but there's nothing too on the nose for that. So that's about the vaguest answer I can give without spoiling for you. Because for those of you that are unaware, we're recording at an earlier date, so I have time to edit and get everything to look as nice as possible. So you won't be seeing this with everything will be out and done by the time you see it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
Abby has not finished it, and I was like, I know when I was trying to book you on the show, I was like, I need to have her on. That it was coming up prominently, and you're very hyped for it. And you're like, don't you dare say anything. I know you know. Don't say it. Nope, I'm not gonna be that guy. So that's what I believe is gonna happen. But I'm so excited. Open to a lot of different ways of them going about this, because they've done a fantastic job, and it was fantastic having John Williams back. I cannot say enough good things about John Williams. Totally. Like him and Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen all coming back, you're just, this is what I wanted. This is all I wanted.
It's his first time scoring for television since the 70s too. So
I was like, and we only have John Williams for so much longer on this earth, so give me as much of him as possible.
Don't say that.
I'm sorry.
He was doing a tour in 2019, I think, and he was in Europe, and he got sick in Europe and had to cancel the rest of the tour.
Yeah.
And I was like, nobody move, nobody breathe until he is back. I don't want to hear anything about it. He's fine.
He will be okay. No one do this to me. I was like, I felt the same way when people started that clock for Betty White. I'm like, you jinxed it. You absolutely jinxed what happened.
That was such a screwed up thing.
It's like, you just don't acknowledge it, and then it'll keep happening. It's like, I wanted Christopher Lee to live basically forever. I mean, he killed Count Dooku. He was a fantastic Saruman. He was a great Bond villain. He had a death metal band in his 80s, for crying out loud. Like, this man, he was knighted, and he fought in several major wars. Like,
wasn't he British Secret Service at one point?
British Secret Service on top of that. So it's like, he's done it all.
And fun fact about him, Ian Fleming based James Bond off of him.
Which makes so much sense. Like, why would he not?
Yeah. Like,
and then it was like when the director for the Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson, was like, all right, when someone gets stabbed, they make this emotion. And then Christopher Lee, they don't. And he's like, how would you know? It's like, I'm Secret Service. I served in the war. And he's like, okay. So you do you.
It's
like, okay. It was like this nice, wholesome old man is like all about that action. You're like, oh, all right, okay. I was like, and I was so happy when we got him back in The Hobbit, even though that was kind of a interesting Lord of the Rings journey. It's like, I enjoyed it for what it was, but there was a lot of stuff that could have been done better. For those of you that are passionate about that stuff,
there it is.
My headphone holder of Sauron, because he's beautiful. He's that dude. So, any other questions come to mind now that we've gone down Nerds Row?
No, I love those. Those are both very good questions, very good answers. I like it.
Yeah.
So if you guys haven't already, check out Abigail Sloan. I'll be collecting all your social media links, whatever you want to plug for yourself, the band, what you got going on. Yeah. We'll have them in the description below. Be sure to check out, be sure to like, be sure to subscribe, do all that good stuff. And if obviously you're in the Tennessee area, do yourself a favor.
Yeah.
See some great music. Come on.
Yes.
So thank you so much for joining us on the show. I was so thrilled when you agreed.
Yeah, it was awesome
having. I know
you
we've tried booking you on other stuff, but I was like, I didn't feel it was worth your time and your level of success.
Phenomenal. Thank you. And I don't think we would be good LCA students if we didn't end with a really good fly high Eagles.
God, I forgot
yes,
what our slogan was.
Yes.
Where's Ross Dale says when you need him?
God bless America. Go get a popsicle. That was the most terrifying moment I've ever had with him. Oh my gosh. We were screwing off all football practice, and Ross was coaching that year. And then literally, I guess a couple parents brought in popsicles. We had no idea because we were so busy yelling and screaming at us. We were just like, ah. And then like popsicles are like the hitting pads that we had, so you could just go do drills with. And he just keeps laying into us. It keeps going and going and going. And then he just looks over at the parents. We don't follow his head. Then he looks back and says, God bless America. Go get a popsicle. We go grab the hitting pads. Not those, you morons. Go get actual popsicles. And you're just like,
okay.
Yep. All right.
To be honest, that is one of my favorite catchphrases now. God bless America.
And I was just like, okay, Ross. Sir, yes, sir. And I was like, I respected the hell out of Ross so much because he was never a fake individual, and he was
not at all
always willing to talk about just about anything he wanted to. And so
I hope
having him just rip us was just like, feel bad about this.
Oh man.
No. Again, fly Eagles fly. Be sure to like, be sure to subscribe, check out Abby and all of her greatness. It's been so nice catching up with her and having her on. I'm sure we'll have a couple repeat episodes where it's like, all right, Obi-Wan finished.
Yes.
I'm back.
Yeah.
We can talk about what happened. And here's our little slide. Be sure to check out everything we got going on. We love and appreciate you guys. Thank you for checking out Living with Humor.
Peace.